Good evening, everybody, or good day, whatever the time you get a chance to watch this episode. One thing I want to make sure that our joy, our transformative stories do come through this channel, through this window, and come straight to your household, because this is our goal. We want to share the story that changes the life. And today we have a perfect visitor, perfect guest, repeated guest into our show, the one who actually runs for the school board, the one who makes the change and transformation throughout our community. And welcome back, Donta. How are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
All right. Tell us about your project. What's going on? Every time I see you, you're running for something here and there. I'm so happy that I finally caught you, put you in this chair, and now I'm going to shake you.
That's fine. Yeah, I ran for school board twice in Carver County, and I came up short both times, but it's okay. It's the journey for me, you know, being able to push myself out of my comfort zone, and I think door knocking was the hardest thing for me, but I love the conversations behind it, and I didn't have many, if at all, any bad conversations. But connecting with people it's a joy of mine. It's always been a passion of mine. With the second loss, well, and I don't really call it a loss because I've gained more relationships than I did the first time. So to me, that's a win. But what I did realize is that school board, it wasn't the passion that I wanted, even though I put so much dedication into it and work with the school board in the district. It was more so the students. The students is where the passion is. And at first I felt like the changes would come from being on school board, but that's not the change that I wanted. You know, I want to impact students directly. You know, I want them to be able to ask me questions and I ask them questions, and we have a chance to influence each other. Because as a father, I know that learning never stops, and sometimes those lessons can come from children.
What is the problem that you wanted to solve that you see we have, and what is your solution to this problem, and what the outcome that you see?
The problem that I see is inside a school district is the representation of the student body. We have a diverse student body, but the faculty, the staff doesn't look that way. And one thing that I do know personally is that it's important to have someone that looks like you. It's easier to connect to that person, and you don't feel so out of place. You don't feel so alone. You know, you have someone that can relate to maybe where you've lived, some type of lived experience that a family has been through, that somebody in the building that can connect with that. I think that is a huge part, and I think that also solves the problem. So I am an anti-racism activist as well.
Yep.
I believe that is a huge part with growing connections, and sometimes it's easier for adults to articulate what a student is feeling. But if you don't grow that connection with that student, there's no way for you to get that message. We have to get that message across. Those voices, student voices, are the most powerful voices that we can have if we let them use that voice. But we have to let them use it genuinely. We don't want to force it out of them, and we don't want to create a narrative for them. We want them to create the narrative for us. And what I've seen in recent years in Carver County, the adults have gotten it wrong. And I have even been on the side of that. The students show us the way. That is so backwards. We are supposed to lead our students. You know, we shouldn't have to rely on them to show us the way.
Is it because people are afraid of change, like adults afraid
Yep.
of change? Okay, so it looks like you wanted to bring the connection through communication and make it very clear and open to transformation as well,
Yep.
right, for the school board. So let me ask you this question, and let's kind of like think and dream big, right?
Okay.
Let's say you have the power by the state to make one change in the school districts for school. What would that be? Just one thing.
You really want to know the answer to that?
Of course, yes. Even
With
it's like we're gonna dream big, like right. You give it the power, and use it.
So this is extremely controversial. Extremely controversial.
Whoa.
But I would change the curriculum to represent the people that live in the country. One thing that I do know about curriculum is that there's not enough representation inside of like history books, and needing to do that research myself as an adult is amazing, but it felt like I had been cheated my whole life. Because, you know, as slaves, they were inferior beings. Native Americans were savages. But in reality, they taught them how to grow food. You know, they taught them how to sustain life. I don't see how that's a savage.
So yeah, so hardworking class. So we want to bring that labor, the love for life, and not being afraid to work. You know.
I think it's power and honesty.
Yep.
You know, and without that honesty, we don't know where to look to start to move forward.
And yeah, I know that history is very subjective.
Mm-hmm.
I was hidden when I was growing up a lot of facts about who I am, about my heritage.
Mm-hmm.
And as an adult, I just found out what had happened, and it completely changed my life. And I wrote a book about that, on that, through that, to educate people what had really happened. So we don't repeat the history, but we learn from it, and not just learn from it, but make it for better. And I think for you to touch and really change the curriculum, right, for the better, to really bring the truth and honesty, to communicate better, so we can connect more in a deeper level. I think it will be very, very fantastic. So you never know, maybe somebody will be watching it.
Hopefully.
Yeah, will be connected and has the power to connect, to do some changes.
There's also a thing where, like with me saying that, people think I want to change like their history. You know, I don't want to change anyone's history. I want everyone's history to be represented. I like when I say I genuinely love people, I don't need to know someone. I don't need to see them. But I genuinely love people. And growing up in Chicago, I didn't have the luxury of meeting other races until I started my first job. And once I started to learn, my best friend was Mexican, and her boyfriend was Polish, which also became my best friend. So just that small group, it taught me so much that I didn't know. And it would have been nice to go into those relationships with some type of idea. Though personal and lived experience is the best, but it'll be nice to understand at least a little bit of someone. And ultimately, I feel like that's what's wrong with, not really wrong with all of us, but that's the part that we're missing.
You're missing, yeah.
We don't
disconnect.
Grow those relationships to understand. And we also, if you've been through something and I haven't been through it, then I take away what you've been through. You know, I don't allow you to have that experience. That's not right. You know, it's what makes the world beautiful. No one, I don't care if you grew up in the same household.
Yeah.
No one is the same.
No.
There's something about all of us that's different, but that's what makes it what it should be. And I don't want to meet another Dante. I don't want a friend, a Dante as a friend. I have enough of me
I don't want
already.
another one of you, and you don't want another one of me. I don't want another one of me.
But I want somebody I can learn from.
Yeah.
I want somebody that can help me grow. I want somebody that'll push me to grow.
Yeah.
And when we combat those that challenge us, it does nothing for us. We have lost the ability to disagree respectfully. You know, it goes from one level to the next really quick. And I feel like that is a shame. So one thing that I'm very intentional about, and you don't know if you remember that I told you I had to go through anger management.
Yes, I remember that.
One thing I am very intentional about is my tone when I speak to people. It doesn't matter if it's an argument or a regular conversation. My goal is to have that same tone with everyone. I don't want to escalate my voice, or I don't want to escalate my feelings. because I know what that does to me. And I don't want to be a harm to anyone. You know, I would rather go back to the days where it takes a village and everybody help everybody. We don't have that right now. We don't have that right now.
Just to change the subject about your anger management, right? We've known each other for like 2 years now. And the first time I met you, you were actually so open, and you were using some of the French that it wasn't in my vocabulary. And I come to you and I say, next time you're gonna use it in front of me, I'm gonna charge you for it. And you completely stopped that. But your personality, that was something that drew me to you, actually. So I think that you're doing, just to compliment you, you're doing such a great job of managing that part of yours that you really work really hard. And I could see when you were working or interacting with people, how much they love you, how much they gravitate towards you. Even coming here to the studio, you already knew so many of them. My friends knew you, and they're like, what's that? And you come here like it's your home, right?
It feels like it.
Yes.
It feels like it.
And it's great feeling. Otherwise, if you didn't make that hard transformation about you, and people didn't see that, you will not have this reaction that you had today. So
it takes a lot. Growing up in Chicago, it takes a lot to dissect what Chicago teaches you, and it's not beneficial in the least way. You know, we're taught not to be vulnerable. We're taught not to express ourselves. We don't go through depression or anxiety. We don't have those mental health illnesses. At least 75% of that community probably does. But we're so afraid to talk about it. And being able to get rid of that, it was amazing, because now I get to operate in my authentic self.
Yes.
And
it's deliberating, isn't it?
Yes. I don't care if you don't like my authentic self. I love it. So
I love it too, by the way.
when you love you and you genuinely love you, it makes it easier to love everyone else.
For this, because that's exactly what I'd say.
If
you
easy.
Don't love yourself, forget about others loving you.
How could you get that buy-in if you can't get it yourself? That transformation, and the reason I'm a huge person on respect. So you don't know what you don't know. And yes, I used to curse a lot.
Not around me, so I
But when you express that to me, you being comfortable enough to tell me that meant a lot to me. So it made me like be more respectful. It's like on Facebook. When I was younger, I used to curse on Facebook. But then I thought about my mom being on Facebook, my aunts and uncles being on Facebook.
Your kids.
Yeah, so I stopped cursing on Facebook. Some people say it was when I started to run for school board. It wasn't. It was when I noticed that I need to be more aware of who's on Facebook. I don't curse in front of my mom. I'm 41 years old, terrified of the lady. But I don't do it in front of her, so I won't do it on Facebook. And I won't allow anyone else to. I'm in Chicago, and I tell young kids, like, watch your mouth. My mom say, leave them alone. It's because Chicago is a different animal, and things go from 0 to 100 really quick. But I was raised on that respect, so I have to. It wouldn't feel right if I just let it go by, especially
and that's
with
why when
kids.
I met you, and your tonality or like what you have represented at the time when I called you on that, and then when I got to know you and you were running for the school board, and that's what the stories that I love, because people have one perception of the
Right.
person, and that person has a different heart and mindset behind the skin, behind the facade. Like when we have the iceberg, we only see the top, like the small top and the huge bottom of it. And that's why when I allow myself to get to know you, I completely fell in love with it. I'm like, amazing, amazing.
It's letting yourself shine from the inside out. It's an attractant, you know, for anyone, anyone. But it's that part of you that you don't mind showing, you know, and that's why I was able to be so open, and being able to be that comfortable and thinking about when I wasn't. It's, like you said, liberating. It really is. I don't have to live and be what Chicago told me to be. I can be someone completely different, which allows me to be who I want to be. And when it's you and it's your authentic self, you don't have to really decide who you want to be. You just let you be you. There's no one else that can be you. And you can't be anyone else. It's the easiest job in the world.
I love it. And most rewarding one too.
It is, really is.
Okay, Donta, take 1 minute, look at your camera, and I want you to speak to the student. How would you want to encourage them to be connected and be more heard in school? So that's your moment.
For the students out there, if you feel challenged with your voice being heard or expressing yourself, find someone, and they don't necessarily have to look like you. It helps, but they don't have to. One thing that we never realize is the commonalities that we all have in each other. We're too busy separating our differences and letting those be known and tear us apart. Find someone in the school that you trust. Help them to give you the courage to elevate your voice. And whatever's given to you, remember you give that to someone else. We always want to be grateful for the tools that's given to us. So the way that we pay that forward is by helping someone else's voice. Before you know it, a community of voices are powerful.
I love what you said. Yes, we become powerful when we respect one another. And next time when you see somebody else who doesn't look like you, please try to stop, pause, connect with a person through the power of communication, and you will see how power of diversity is going to grow and impact this world for the better.
Yes.
That was Ilona, and I will see you next time. Go and shine your light right now.
Bye, everyone.